I never thought a single night could unravel my entire world. I'm Olivia, and my life with Ethan was a quiet kind of perfect. Our suburban home, a sanctuary of laughter, our Friday nights alive with friends and the clink of beer bottles. But last Friday, under the dim glow of our living room lamp, a harmless card game turned into a dangerous dance of dares. A fleeting moment of weakness led me down a path I can't walk back from. And now, the guilt is a suffocating weight on my chest. As I sit across from Ethan, his eyes searching mine for answers, I'm trembling. Will the truth shatter everything we've built, or is there a chance for forgiveness I don't deserve? Stick around to find out how one mistake turned my heaven into a haunting nightmare. Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of my kitchen counter, the late afternoon sun spilling through the window, casting golden streaks across the worn wooden floor. There's a faint hum of cicadas outside, a sound so familiar it's almost a lullaby to my soul. I'm Olivia, by the way, 30 years old, with a life that feels like a well-worn sweater. Comfortable, familiar, maybe a little frayed at the edges, but mine. I've been married to Ethan for 6 years now, and every day with him feels like a quiet victory. He's 32, a software engineer with a mind sharper than the code he writes, but a heart so gentle it could melt ice. His humor, though, oh, it's sneaky. He'll slip in a quip so dry I'm halfway through a laugh before I even catch it. We've carved out our little slice of heaven in a suburban 2-story just outside Chicago. Our home is a patchwork of memories. Wedding photos line the mantel, their edges curling slightly from time, and shelves are cluttered with trinkets from our travels, like that tiny ceramic bowl from Spain or the chipped seashell from our first beach trip. I'm a freelance graphic designer, which means I spend most days in my cozy office upstairs, lost in color palettes and deadlines, while Ethan's often hunched over his laptop in the den. Our rhythm is easy, unhurried, like a slow dance we've perfected over the years. Ethan's friends are practically family to us, and they're the heartbeat of our social life. There's Mark, a salesman with a voice that could fill a stadium, always bursting into a room like he owns it, his laughter a contagious roar. Then there's Jake, Ethan's best friend since their college days, an accountant who's quiet until he isn't. His wit cuts like a knife, precise and unexpected. And Sarah, Jake's girlfriend, a hairdresser with a smile that could light up a blackout, has become one of my closest confidants. We've shared countless secrets over glasses of wine, her bubbly energy a perfect balance to my calmer demeanor. Friday nights are sacred in our house. It's when everyone piles in, turning our living room into a hub of noise and warmth. Sometimes it's a barbecue out back, the smell of grilled burgers wafting through the air, or it's board games spread across the coffee table, with accusations of cheating flying as fast as the dice. Today's one of those nights, and I've spent the afternoon getting ready. I've tidied up the living room, fluffing the couch pillows just so, and set out snacks, chips and dip in mismatched bowls, a tray of veggies because Sarah's always on some health kick. The fridge is stocked with beers, chilling nicely, their condensation already forming little droplets on the glass. I can't help but feel a flutter of excitement as I survey the setup. These nights are my favorite, a chance to let loose and just be with the people who matter. As the evening rolls in, I'm soaking in the warmth of our living room, a space that feels like a cozy cocoon tonight. The soft glow of a floor lamp in the corner casts a golden haze over everything, making the shadows dance gently on the walls. The coffee table in front of us is a mess of empty beer bottles, their labels peeling at the edges, and a half-empty bowl of pretzels that's seen better days. From Ethan's old stereo in the corner, classic rock hums low and steady, the kind of tunes that feel like they've been the soundtrack to every good memory I've ever had. I'm nestled on the couch, the worn fabric scratchy against my skin, with Ethan right beside me. His arm is draped casually over my shoulder, and every now and then, he gives me a little squeeze, a quiet reminder that he's right here. It's the kind of gesture that makes my heart settle, like everything in the world is exactly where it's supposed to be. Across from us, Mark is in full storyteller mode, his booming voice filling the room as he recounts his latest sales pitch disaster. He's got us all doubled over, clutching our sides, as he mimics the client's horrified expression when he accidentally spilled coffee on a contract. Laughter erupts like wildfire, and I can barely catch my breath. Sarah, perched on the arm of Jake's chair, is quick to jump in, teasing Jake about his poker face, or lack thereof. She points at him, her eyes sparkling with mischief, saying he might as well just hand over his cards with how obvious he is. Jake rolls his eyes, but there's a smirk tugging at his lips, and I can tell he's loving the attention. The energy in the room is electric, a buzzing kind of joy that only comes from being with people who get you, who see you.
We're all a little buzzed from the drinks, the kind of loose and happy that makes everything funnier, brighter. Mark suddenly slams his hand on the table, rattling the bottles, and declares that we've got to play cards. Texas Hold'em, he insists, because apparently it's the only game worth our time. I'm not much of a card shark, but I'm game for anything that keeps this vibe going. Jake grabs the deck from a drawer, his fingers moving with the kind of precision that tells me he's done this 1,000 times. He shuffles like a pro, the cards snapping and sliding in a rhythm that's almost hypnotic, before dealing them out with a flick of his wrist. Sarah, meanwhile, is up and passing around another round of cold beers, the glass slick with condensation as she hands me mine with a wink. I take a sip, the bitter chill sliding down my throat, and settle in for the game. The first few hands are pure chaos, but the good kind. We're betting with loose change dug out of pockets and candy from a dusty jar on the table. Sour gummies and chocolate drops that nobody's touched in months. As the night deepens, the game of Texas Hold'em takes on a sharper edge, like a blade slowly being honed. The playful bets of candy and coins start to feel less innocent, and the dares that come with each loss grow bolder, more daring, as if we're all testing the limits of what we can get away with. Mark loses a hand early on, and Sarah, with a wicked glint in her eye, dares him to wear her bright pink scarf for the rest of the night. He grumbles but drapes it over his broad shoulders, the neon color clashing hilariously with his dark jacket. We all burst into laughter, but it's a fleeting moment of lightness. Jake's next, folding on a bad hand, and Mark dares him to call his boss right then and there, leaving a voicemail that's pure nonsense, something about a fake emergency involving a runaway stapler. Jake hesitates, his fingers hovering over his phone, but the room's energy pushes him forward. He dials, puts on a dramatic voice, and we're all stifling giggles as he stumbles through the absurd message before hanging up, shaking his head at his own audacity. I'm still chuckling, my sides aching, but beneath the surface, something feels off. I catch Mark's gaze after I lose a hand, and there's a weight to it, a lingering intensity that makes my skin prickle. His eyes don't flicker away like they should. They stay locked on me, searching, almost predatory. My palms grow sweaty, the card slipping slightly in my grip, and I shift in my seat, trying to shake the unease. I tell myself it's nothing, just the buzz of the beer playing tricks on my mind. But the room suddenly feels hotter, the air thicker, like it's pressing down on me. The laughter around me starts to sound hollow, forced, as if everyone's hiding something behind their smiles. Ethan's still next to me on the couch, but his attention's elsewhere, his thumb scrolling through work emails on his phone, completely unaware of the shift in the atmosphere. I want to nudge him, to pull him back into this moment with me, but I don't. I can't explain why, but I just sit there, trapped in my own spiraling thoughts. Another hand, another loss for me, and my stomach twists as Mark leans forward, his sly grin cutting through the dim light. He suggests a dare, but this time there's an edge to his voice, a personal undercurrent that makes my heart pound against my ribs. The group latches onto it, their voices rising in a chorus of encouragement, egging me on. I hesitate, my breath shallow, feeling cornered by their expectations. Part of me wants to slam my cards down, to call it a night and escape to the safety of my bedroom, but another part, the part that hates to be seen as the spoilsport, keeps me rooted to the spot. I'm torn, my mind a battlefield of doubt and pressure, not wanting to kill the mood, but sensing that something's slipping out of control. Mark's dare is to share a secret, something I've never told Ethan, something personal. My mouth goes dry, and I stammer out a weak story about a silly childhood prank, something about hiding my brother's favorite toy and blaming it on the dog. It's trivial, meaningless, but Mark isn't satisfied. He leans closer, his tone losing any trace of playfulness, pushing me to dig deeper, to reveal more. I feel the weight of everyone's eyes on me, and the room seems to shrink, the walls closing in. The night drags on, each round of the game ratcheting up the tension until it's a taut wire ready to snap. I lose again, and this time, the dare crosses a line I never saw coming, a boundary I didn't think we'd ever approach. Mark's voice is low, almost a whisper, as he suggests something far too intimate, something that should never have been spoken aloud in this room full of friends. Under the guise of the game, he pressures me to step away with him, just for a moment, to the kitchen, out of sight from the others. My heart screams at me to refuse. I'm sitting back on the couch now, the worn fabric under me feeling more like a cage than a comfort. My hands are trembling, so much so that the glass of water I'm clutching threatens to slip right through my fingers. I'm pretending to watch the next round of cards, my eyes forcing a tight smile as Jake deals out another hand, but I'm not really here. Not anymore. The room feels like it's closing in on me, the walls inching closer with every breath I take. Every laugh from the group, Sarah's high-pitched giggle, Jake's low chuckle, sounds like a mockery, like they all know what happened in that kitchen just moments ago, like they can see the stain of it on me, even though I know they can't. I can't meet anyone's eyes, especially not Mark's. I feel his presence across the room, heavy and suffocating, like a storm cloud I can't escape. I keep my gaze fixed on the coffee table, on the scattered coins and crumpled candy wrappers, anything to avoid that look I know I'd find if I dared to glance his way. My mind is a whirlwind, a tornado of questions tearing through me. How did I let this happen? How could I have been so weak, so stupid, to cross a line I never thought I'd even approach? Ethan's right beside me, oblivious to the chaos inside me, offering a tired smile as he yawns, his hand brushing my arm in that gentle, familiar way of his. "Long night, huh?" he murmurs, his voice soft and warm, and it's like a knife twisting in my chest. I nod, barely managing a hum in response, because what can I say? How can I look at him, the man I've built a life with, and pretend everything's okay after what I've done? Guilt is a physical thing, I'm learning. It's a knot in my stomach, tight and unyielding, making me feel like I might be sick right here in front of everyone. There's a lump in my throat, thick and choking, making every swallow a battle. My skin prickles with shame, like 1,000 tiny needles are pressing into me, reminding me of every wrong choice I made in that fleeting, reckless moment. I can still feel the ghost of it, the heat, the rush, the way I let myself get swept up in something I knew was wrong. It's not just regret, it's a deep, gnawing disgust at myself, at how I could betray the one person who's always been my safe place. The night finally starts to wind down, the energy in the room fading as the clock ticks past midnight. One by one, the group gathers their things, tossing out casual goodbyes and promises to do this again soon. Sarah gives me a quick hug, her perfume lingering as she pulls away, and Jake claps Ethan on the shoulder with a grin. Mark lingers by the door, his gaze flickering toward me for just a second too long before he turns away, and I feel my breath catch, a fresh wave of nausea rolling through me. It's almost 1 a.m. when the last of them leave, the door clicking shut behind them, and the house falls into a heavy, oppressive quiet. I start cleaning up, needing something to do with my hands, something to keep me from unraveling completely. I stack the empty beer bottles, the glass clinking too loudly in the stillness, and wipe down the table, scrubbing at invisible stains as if I could erase the night itself. My mind keeps replaying that scene in the kitchen, over and over, like a broken record I can't turn off. The way the dim light caught the edge of the counter, the hushed urgency in the air, the moment I let boundaries blur into something I can't take back. It's not just a memory. It's a weight, pressing down on me with every step I take, every bottle I toss into the recycling bin. Ethan heads to bed, his footsteps slow and heavy on the stairs. "Good night, love," he calls out, his voice sleepy and tender, and it nearly breaks me. I mumble something back, a weak night that barely makes it past my lips. I wake up to a world that feels sharper, crueler, as if the very air is laced with the weight of what I've done. The morning light slices through the bedroom curtains like a blade, harsh and unforgiving, stinging my eyes as I blink against it. I barely slept, my mind a relentless loop of guilt and dread, replaying every second of last night until my chest ached with the burden of it. The sheets beside me are cold, Ethan's already up, and the emptiness where he should be feels like a silent accusation. I drag myself out of bed, my limbs heavy, as if they're protesting every step I take toward the inevitable. My bare feet hit the hardwood floor, and a shiver runs through me, though I know it's not just the chill of the morning. I shuffle down the hallway, each creak of the floorboards echoing like a drum in the quiet house. My heart is a wild thing, hammering so hard against my ribs I'm sure it must be audible, a frantic rhythm betraying every ounce of fear I'm carrying. I pause at the threshold of the kitchen, gripping the doorframe for support, my breath shallow and uneven. There he is, Ethan, sitting at the kitchen table, a mug of coffee in one hand, his phone in the other, scrolling through something with a distant, unreadable expression. The steam rises from his cup in lazy curls, and the normalcy of the scene is a punch to my gut. How can everything look so ordinary when inside I'm falling apart? I stand there for what feels like an eternity, rooted to the spot, my feet cold against the tile, the sensation grounding me even as my mind spins. I want to turn back, to crawl back into bed and pretend this isn't happening. But I know I can't. I've carried this secret through the night, and it's a poison seeping into every corner of me. I have to tell him. I have to face this, even if it shatters everything we've built. My legs feel like they might give out as I force myself to move, crossing the room with steps that feel too loud, too deliberate. I slide into the chair across from him, the wood scraping softly against the floor, and I can't meet his eyes. Not yet. My hands rest on the table, fingers curling into fists to stop their trembling. But I know he can sense something's wrong. The air between us is thick, charged with an unspoken tension that I'm about to ignite. "Something happened last night," I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper, fragile and thin, like it might break under the weight of the words. I force myself to look up, and the moment our eyes meet, I see his hand freeze mid-sip, the mug hovering just below his lips. His gaze locks onto mine, and there's a flicker of confusion at first, a brief moment where he doesn't understand. But then it shifts, morphing into something darker, something like dread, as if he can sense the storm that's coming. He doesn't say a word, doesn't lower the mug, just stares at me with an intensity that makes my stomach churn. The silence that follows is heavier than any shout, any accusation. It's a void, swallowing every sound, every thought, until all I can hear is the frantic beat of my own pulse. I try to explain, but the words stumble out of me, clumsy and broken, my voice cracking as I struggle to make sense of it myself. It started as a game, Ethan, just a stupid dare during the card game. I didn't think it would go anywhere, I swear, but it spiraled. It got out of control, and I did something I can't take back. My throat tightens, and I feel the tears burning at the corners of my eyes, hot and relentless as they spill over, trailing down my cheeks. I'm gripping the edge of the table now, my knuckles white, as if holding on to it can keep me from falling apart completely. "I'm so sorry," I choke out, my voice raw, desperate. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't want to hurt you. Please, I'm sitting here now, days after that gut-wrenching confession at the kitchen table, and the weight of it all still presses down on me like a stone I can't lift. The aftermath is a quiet kind of devastation, a slow unraveling of the life I thought I knew. Ethan didn't yell or storm out that morning, though I almost wish he had. Instead, he just set his coffee mug down with a deliberate clink, his face a mask of hurt so raw it cut deeper than any words could. He stood up, walked past me without a glance, and by that evening he'd moved his things into the guest room. Now, the space between us is a chasm, and every day it feels like it grows wider. We barely speak, our conversations reduced to the bare necessities, bills that need paying, groceries we're out of, mundane things that feel absurdly trivial against the backdrop of what I've done. His voice, when he does speak, is flat, stripped of the warmth I used to cling to, and every clipped word is a reminder of the trust I shattered. The house itself feels different now, like it's mourning alongside us. The living room, once a sanctuary of laughter and late-night talks, is a graveyard of memories. I walk through it and see ghosts of better times. Ethan and me curled up on the couch watching old movies, his arm around me, the sound of his chuckle vibrating against my shoulder. Now, the couch sits empty, the pillows still fluffed from habit, but untouched. The silence is suffocating, broken only by the occasional creak of the house settling, a sound that feels like it's echoing my own unraveling. The mantel with our wedding photos seems to mock me. I can't bring myself to look at them, to see the smiles of a version of us that might never exist again. Every corner of this place holds a memory, and each one stings like a fresh wound. I've tried to reach out, desperate to bridge the gap I created, but nothing seems to penetrate the wall Ethan's built around himself. I've left notes on his pillow in the guest room, scribbled apologies and pleas for us to talk. But they go unanswered, the paper untouched when I check later. I've cooked his favorite meals, the smell of garlic and rosemary filling the kitchen as I prepare the roast he used to rave about, hoping the familiarity might draw him out. But he just eats in silence at the far end of the table, his eyes fixed on his plate, and I'm left with the clatter of my own fork against porcelain, the sound too loud in the void between us. Each attempt feels like I'm throwing pebbles at a fortress, hoping for a crack, but there's nothing, just cold, unyielding stone. In a moment of desperation, I called Sarah, needing someone to talk to, someone who might understand, or at least offer a sliver of advice. I dialed her number with shaking hands, pacing the upstairs hallway as the phone rang, my heart in my throat. When she picked up, her voice bright and unsuspecting, I couldn't hold it together. I broke down, the whole story spilling out in a rush of tears and stammers, how a stupid game turned into a betrayal, how I let myself get pulled into a moment of weakness that I can't undo. There was a long, stunned silence on the other end, a void that mirrored Ethan's reaction that morning. I could almost hear her processing it, the shock settling in, and when she finally spoke, it was a quiet, hesitant question about whether I'd told him everything. That silence, though, it stayed with me, a heavy reminder that I've not just hurt Ethan, but tainted every connection tied to that night. The guilt is a constant companion now, a shadow that follows me through every hour. I can't look at myself in the mirror anymore without seeing a stranger staring back, someone I don't recognize, someone capable of destroying the one thing I held most dear. My reflection shows tired eyes, hollow cheeks, a face etched with the consequences of my choices. Every night, I lie awake in our bed, alone now, the other side cold and untouched, and replay that moment in the kitchen. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.